everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here to break down two of the Thanksgiving movies from Thanksgiving this weekend, this Thanksgiving weekend, this epic weekend for Hallmark Channel. And it's going to be a ton of fun. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Jess is here.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I am good. Good. Thanksgiving was good. And,
Oh,
and
good.
what better way to end Thanksgiving when you're full of turkey than just sit down and watch some movies?
Yeah. Really. I mean, it is true. I was thinking about that the other day because I got to spend Thanksgiving at a friend's house, and it was just an interesting experience because her family is like super into movies, and my family is like not really into movies, especially my parents are not into movies at all. And so we're sitting there, we're watching It's a Wonderful Life, and we're talking about all these different movies and Christmas movies and Hallmark movies. And I'm just like, wow, this is how the other half lives, right? This is great.
Yes, that's perfect for you.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear you had a nice Thanksgiving.
Yes, I made the turkey myself for the first time. I was really worried about it, but it came out really good.
That's good. You didn't need a holiday
so now
hotline.
I know how to make a turkey. I can add that to my repertoire.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So have you gotten a chance to watch many of the Hallmark or the Christmas movies this season?
I have watched all of them. I didn't watch them in order because I could not bring myself to watch them in October this year. Normally I don't mind, but this year I was like, I just don't feel like Christmas yet. And so I waited till November. So I did have to play some catch up, but as of right now, until tonight, I officially caught up and I've seen them all.
Well, how do you think the season has been so far?
Pretty okay. Like at first I was like, there wasn't a whole lot that like just the order that I was watching in. I wasn't like loving a lot of them. Like they weren't bad, but nothing really like got me super excited. Like, oh, I just love that movie, you know? But I feel like as I've gone on, I found more that I've enjoyed, and I've got a couple that I think like are like my solid, top 3, top 4. Yeah, I do feel really good about and really loved.
Yeah, in one of our rankings, I asked Terry, what would you rather have, a Hallmark season with like extreme highs and then extreme lows, like really terrible ones, but then like really good ones? Or would you rather have one where it's just like a whole bunch of kind of meh, but like decent movies? Yeah. And we both agreed that we'd rather have the highs and lows, but I do think that this season is the meh variety. Like there haven't been that many that have been like terrible.
Yeah.
Most of them have been watchable. Most of them have been fun and cute enough, but like not that many like super terrible ones or like super great ones.
Yeah, I would agree.
So there we go. Well, we have two movies that we're talking about today. We're talking about A Season for Family and Holiday Road. And we had no idea that adoption was going to be the theme for these two movies. I picked them at random, but hey. And then obviously we'll be covering the rest of the weekend in various batches. So you'll just enjoy. I think I have 4 different podcasts scheduled for
it's a lot
for all of these week. So yeah, get ready.
Buckle in, everyone.
But let's talk about A Season for Family, and this was on Movies and Mysteries, and it's directed by Kevin Fair, who's a Signed, Sealed, Delivered veteran. You know, a lot of those. Writer Stephen Sessions, and it starred Brendan Penny and Stacey Farber. And this one did have, I think, a really good supporting cast. Jessica Sipos, Edward Ruddle, Lara Soltis, Cardi Wong. Really nice supporting cast, a good cast. And the summary: Maddie's adopted son Wesley has just one Christmas wish: to meet his brother Cody, who was adopted into a different family. Cody's father Paul is a widower who is not ready to have this conversation with his son. So overall, what did you think of this one?
I really like this one. I thought it was a nice plot, and it wasn't like too heavy. I kind of was expecting it to maybe be a bit more emotional than it ended up being. So I kind of appreciated that. As well, like you said, the supporting cast was great. I liked the leads together. I think my only thing was it felt a little too neatly wrapped up at the end for me.
Yeah.
A little too much of a Hallmark moment.
Yeah, it was sweet. I enjoyed it. I'd probably watch it again. It was sweet. But I do feel like it created conflict where there was no conflict necessary, and that can be kind of frustrating in where it's like characters are sort of inventing problems.
Yeah.
Like this did not need to be a conflict that he like there's no not only is there no reason not to tell your child that they're adopted, but like you actively shouldn't do that. Like you don't want the fact that they're adopted to be something that they're ashamed of. Is
Right.
something
And I
that
was
needs to be hidden, something that's uh, that that they need to feel any kind of embarrassment over or anything like that. Like that would be my kind of concern that like because oh wow, you've waited until how old is he? Like what? 12? Something like that. Like
yeah,
you've
I don't think
waited
he's younger than the other boys. So he's probably like, yeah, let me like 10.
10, something like that. Like you've waited all this time. It makes it feel yeah, my worry would be it would make it feel to the kid that this is something that's like almost shameful.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, I mean, I guess I really don't know, but I feel like in my head, like, do people really withhold that information like when their kids are
No.
adopted? I feel like a lot of kids just know. Like, it's just like something they tell them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like it was maybe something I feel like in the past, when there was like maybe more of a fear of like somebody's gonna try to take
Mm-hmm.
my child, somebody's going to that you didn't want them to know about the birth mother because there was some kind of I think now it's just like oh I feel like more often than not and I'm no expert on this by any means but it seems like more often than not people are doing open adoptions
Mm-hmm.
these days. It's all pretty out in the open where it's maybe that was the reason in the past was the fear of oh you're going to come take my child away kind of a thing so we're going to keep it all closed and hidden and whatever. And I guess maybe partly, maybe also in a in another time there was more of a like a scandal of being an unwed mother, maybe something like that. Oh, you want to keep it quiet. You wouldn't want to have a open adoption because there's maybe on the side of the birth mother there might have been a reason, but in the past. But that's not as common now. I don't know. It just felt sort of like inventing a problem that didn't need to exist.
Yeah, I feel like they did drag it on a little too long. Like
Mm-hmm.
I understood where he was coming from. He had his wife and him like agreed this was the aid, and he was like not prepared to like do this. And I think
Mm-hmm.
what helped me like kind of not be too bothered by it was like he was having all these other problems with the shop, so he had like a lot of
A
things
lot
going
at
on, and it was
once.
just like that one thing he just didn't want to deal with right now.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think I would have liked to have seen it resolved a little sooner, and then we could have played into like a few more
Yeah.
things like once like um his son was Cody, right? Once Cody
Yeah.
knew. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And because yeah, once he finally did tell him, it was like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, thanks,
Right. It's no
Dad.
big deal. He already knew. He was like happy. And that's where it was a little too much of like a Hallmark
Yeah.
for me. Like, but it's fine.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. The other thing that was a little awkward, even though I really liked Jessica Sipos in this, and I liked Brendan pretty good in this. It was a little weird because since they played spouses in Chesapeake Shores, it was a little weird for them to be brother and sister in this one.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of strange casting, I feel like. But I was able to get over it.
Yeah.
So Stacey Farber, she is the daughter of these people who run this hotel chain kind of thing. She's been trying to not be a Nepo kid and trying to make it on her own. But she did decide as a single woman to adopt a child at one point. And so she has this son. The son is making this family tree. And somehow as part of making the family tree, the son knows that he has a brother.
Yeah, because they found like a second cousin or something who I guess knew that he had a brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. And so she like pursues it, tries to find the brother, and she was good in this. I liked her. I thought she was good.
Yeah, it took me half the movie to like figure out where I had seen her before, and she was in that Butler movie.
Yeah, in the Butler movie.
Like, oh my gosh, it was driving me nuts.
The Butler movie. I feel like most people didn't. I enjoyed it.
I feel like I remember liking the movie, but it's been a while.
But I thought she was good. Like their chemistry wasn't like crazy great or something, but it was fine. It was good. I actually think I liked Edward Ruddle and Jessica Sipos maybe even better as far as chemistry.
Yeah, they were great.
They were a fun side romance.
And they were both they had these like really nice direct conversations with Paul that I thought was kind of nice. They didn't really beat around the bush. They're like, hey, look, I'm just gonna whack you for a second and tell you the truth.
It was kind of funny when they're at the tree lighting and they're holding hands and you see Brendan's character like looking like, what is happening? He's like, what did I see there? That was funny. I liked that. I died laughing in this movie so you're supposed to believe that Brendan Penny's character has put garland all over his house, including over his sink, where nobody puts garland over the sink. He has decorated every inch of molding on his house, but no Christmas tree.
No Christmas tree.
It's ridiculous. And she's like, when are you going to get a Christmas tree already? And he's like, oh, it's definitely at the top of my list. You know,
yeah, it's funny. I didn't even notice there was no tree because there was so much garland everywhere. It's like, oh, they're decked out.
I was like, only in a Hallmark movie with the person who has garland over their sink would be, low on Christmas spirit.
I think when I decorate the house, I'm just going to put garland only over the sink, nowhere else, just to make a point.
That's really funny to me. I was proud of them for Joe Noel when for Brant Daughtry's character, he is, supposed to be kind of a grump, Scrooge, whatever, at the beginning. And they show his apartment, not a garland there, not a Christmas tree. Because so often in these movies, you'll have somebody who hates Christmas, but nevertheless, every piece of molding in their house,
it was the Christmas spirit working before they even knew it was working.
Which makes no sense. But I do think there was for a long time a rule in Hallmark that every shot had to have Christmas in it.
Really?
Every single shot. And so that's why you'd see like garland in ridiculous places. It's like you can't even open the cabinets the way you have them. Like, why?
I want to see Hallmark storage area where they keep all these decorations.
I know. I
just want to see it.
Well, I was so there's this place in LA where that's just like Christmas, renting out Christmas stuff for movies. I have it written down somewhere, the name, but it was kind of funny. This was in 2021. I had just found out about it, but it didn't say anywhere online that it was like exclusive to movie people like that. And so I took an Uber over there. I was in LA, and it was a good example of asking forgiveness rather than permission, because they were they were like, you're not supposed to be here. And I was like, oh, but I have a podcast. And they were like, okay. So then they gave me a tour and it was amazing to see like all the props and all the like rows and rows of little things that you don't even think about, like tree toppers and Christmas tree skirts and I don't know, just stuff like that. Like obviously the lights and it was amazing to get to do, and they're surprised. Surprise! I'm here. Yeah, but I would love to go to a place like that in Vancouver, because I mean I can only imagine it would be even more so than in California. But I've long wanted to talk to like a props person, even just I'd love to talk to somebody just about the whole process of getting snow. Because I know they use the blankets sometimes, they use the fake snow, and sometimes it's digital snow. But even that I would be fascinated to learn. So one of these days I probably need to make that happen.
Get the behind the scenes scoop on the fake snow.
Yeah. So he runs a ski shop with Edward Ruddle. And they were a good combo, I think. Yeah, they were good. And they have a meet cute. She topples all the skis, and she's getting renting equipment she's renting equipment for her son, and he wants to be a professional skier. He's like hardcore.
Yeah.
Now, what'd you think of the kids? Do you think they were cute?
I did think they were cute. I do feel like sometimes it felt a little too scripted. Like they were just a little too happy together sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were pretty mop top. That's kind of what it's like, a Hollywood cute kind of kid. This is the same. The one kid, Cody, was the same kid that was in We Need a Little Christmas last year, and he was really cute there. I kind of felt that too. But they were pretty cute kids, and of course the ski shop is struggling, and this is the one where they were in fake Utah, which was kind of funny to me.
Fake Utah.
They kept talking about, because some of these movies are filmed in Utah, but this one wasn't.
Yeah,
it was in Canada pretending to be Utah, which was kind of funny. I'm like, because Park City is like probably 45 minutes up from where I live, and it's kind of a different world up there in Park City. It's like expensive, and I don't know, it's just a place I hardly ever think of outside of Sundance, and even then I don't usually go up there for Sundance. It's just interesting. It's just not what I think of as Utah. But they kept talking about Utah, and I was like, oh, okay. But she's offered a job in Colorado. She could leave, but she's struggling with what to do, and she gets this job offer from her dad. And I did like the whole conversation where the last time he'd read a book was 9 years ago.
Yeah. Also, maybe that means his son is 9.
Yeah,
very close. Is that 10?
Oh yeah, duh. I didn't even think of it that, but yeah, it is hard to find time to read. That's why I'm a big Audible fan. Yeah. Whenever I'm driving or doing like data entry, or like balancing my books or something like that, like great time to put on an Audible.
So I can't do that when I'm driving, because I either like focus so much on the road that I don't like hear it anymore. Like it just like it's like zoned out, or I'm like so focused on this that I stop looking at the road. So I don't do audiobooks in the car. Not safe.
Yeah. I am able to do that. There's some things like that I cannot have. I used to be able to have like always a kind of a movie on in the background, and it wouldn't distract me. It would just be kind of white noise in a way. But the last couple of years, I just like lost the ability to do that. Like I cannot multitask the way I used to be able to.
Yeah.
And there's some people who say that nobody can really multitask. You're just like spending less time on each project. You're just flipping back and forth, and that's true. But like I know I used to be able to at least have more sounds playing at the same time, and it wouldn't be a problem for me than I can now. But I do like, listening to books or podcasts. A lot of times I'll listen to podcasts as I'm driving. But let's see what else. Yeah, and they both liked this Renee Barjavel. I've never read any of his books, but that was a point of, I do think that, particularly even more than movies, I do think if you like the same books, I think that's a pretty good sign. Not only that you have like the same kind of taste in reading, but that you both like reading. That you both like, I don't know, I just feel like that's even a better sign than like favorite movies.
Right. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's The Trouble with Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow. It is the first of the Brook Hollow series. In best-selling author Jennifer Snow's sweet, wholesome Christmas romance, The Trouble with Mistletoe, our heroine learns that you can't say no to a mistletoe kiss, no matter who's under it. Since leaving Brook Hollow and her fiancé Luke Dawson 12 years earlier, Victoria Mason hasn't looked back. She's traded the small-town dream of marriage, kids, and family Christmas dinners for late nights working at a high-powered acquisitions firm, lunches at trendy New York restaurants, and jet-setting vacations on the slopes. So her latest work assignment to acquire Brook Hollow's sporting goods store poses a challenge for Victoria in more ways than one, because it's almost Christmas and she's got other holiday plans, and the owner is reluctant to sell, and the owner is Luke. She needs to wrap up the deal before she gets caught up in her old life and her old love, or becomes trapped under the mistletoe again. You can find The Trouble with the Mistletoe by Jennifer Snow wherever you purchase your holiday reads, or use the affiliate link in the description below. To tell the son until he was 10. That's right. So that's how old he is. He's under 10. Yeah, they have Park City Market Christmas tree lighting. I'm like, I guess that's up there. I have no idea. And then he sees Jessica and Edward holding hands, and I liked that. That was really funny. And they've been dating for 8 weeks. 8 weeks.
8 weeks. It's a long time to not tell someone.
Yeah, it was funny. And so then they have this whole ski fitting thing at the hotel, and there's like tons of hotels in Park City. And so he would probably have been pursuing this. I doubt this wouldn't be like a new idea with like one hotel. There's tons of hotels up there, and tons of ski shops. And so maybe it's a matter of like getting in with the other big bad ski shops or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's hopeful that will work. They have a really good, like, busy fitting with lots of clients, and
good trial run.
Yeah. And then he hears from her dad that, they won't be able to start until like after the holidays. And so that's disappointing to him. So then the dad also says that they won't be addressing anything until the new GM is hired. So he's pretty discouraged. And so he says that this is when he's offered the job in Colorado, and he tells Edward that they're going to close the shop, which is like the worst thing ever. But in a way, it's not the worst thing ever in his life, because it seems like the shop was kind of his wife's dream.
Yeah, or at least that's how it felt,
Yeah.
Even though it was like their thing together, but
yeah. And so then we have the Park City igloos, which I was like, I also didn't know that that's a thing. I have to check that out. I got to get up to Park City.
Yeah, road trip.
Yes. And then I did like the scene between him and Edward where he says, you need to straighten this mess out. You need to figure this out. And so that was in general, they were good together. Yeah. And he's kind of avoiding her He says, oh, it's too much, too fast with all of this. And they end up watching the fireworks in different spots in the crowd. And so they're like, he's like,
and then they're, reunited like 3 minutes later.
Yeah.
For someone who wanted to keep like the kids apart, he did a very horrible job.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we have this long montage of everybody basically like longingly looking at pictures and lighting candles, and this it was I when I was talking with Russell Hainline, he was mentioning how these kinds of montages are a pain in the neck to film because you just need so much material in order to make one of the Hallmark montages. So
yeah,
I have a whole new respect for the Hallmark montage. And they said, I hope your decision to leave is about running towards something, not running away.
Yeah, that was a really nice line.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
So then we have Cody writes a letter to Santa, and this thing is going to be like,
we already know what it's going to be.
Yeah, emotional. And he says, please forget about the PlayStation. My wish is that Dad and Maddie and me and Wesley can all be together. That's very sweet.
Yes. Also, a side note, was that like the running secondary theme was like PlayStation for Christmas? I know we're not covering letters to Santa, but they wanted a PlayStation too. Like, everyone needs a PlayStation this year.
They have a secret deal with PlayStation.
Yeah, is there like a Hallmark bundle with PlayStation? Like-
yeah. So finally we get to the point where he finally tells Cody, and he says, you're trying to tell me I'm adopted? And he says, how did you know? I have ears and I hear people talk. And then he says, I feel lucky because I have the best family in the whole world. Adorable.
Yes, very tender moment.
It was very sweet. And
I liked how much he struggled to like get the words out.
Yeah, no, Brendan did a good job in that scene.
Yeah.
He it was believable that if all of this had actually happened and you were actually telling your your child that they were adopted, like it was well written for that moment, and he did a good job with the role. And then so then he says that he says to her, he says, you were the disruption I needed. I want to try and make things work for us. And so that was cute. And they're like, so should we are we going to tell them that they're brothers? And he says that it should come from both of us. So and this is, it's not a coincidence, it's fate that we're supposed to be together. So there we go. That was cute. And that I did think it was a little much when he says that I've never been more sure of anything in our life. I think I'm in love with you. It was a little early for the I love you.
Yeah.
And there's always that debate in these movies. Do we say, do we end with the I love you, or do we wait? Or do we?
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite Hallmark movies, The Nanny Express, this is one of the first ones that I ever really loved. She's like been a nanny at their house, like, and they've gotten to know each other very, very well so by the end of the movie, they could have gone with the I love you in that one, but spoiler alert, they don't. They're out there, and he says, will you go on a date with me? Yeah, because they've never actually gone on a date, and that is so cute and sweet. And so I think that something like that would have been a better, I think, ending for this one. With will you go on a date with me, or something like that?
Yeah.
More believable, because they really haven't even spent that much time together.
Yeah, and even some of the even some of the time they have spent together has been like a little like strained, because he's like not having wanted them to be together because he was trying to keep the sons apart. Yeah. And so then they do have a kiss, and then they tell them that they are the kids, they're brothers. This is the best Christmas ever. So very sweet. Yeah, if you don't like your Hallmark movies with a gallon of syrup, then you're not going to like this one. This one is very, is very. Very neat with the bow on top.
Yeah, it's very cheesy. It's very syrupy, but it was sweet. I like my syrup, I guess. So, yeah. I would give this one like a 3.5. I liked it. I think it had a really good cast. But I just, again, if there was, the conflict felt a little inauthentic to me. And so that was a barrier, but I still overall enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was a little higher. I gave it a 4. I pretty much liked all the characters, I liked the 2 leads. It had great supporting cast. The kids were cute and very believable as brothers. I liked how they had different personalities too, as well. So yeah, I gave it a 4.
Yeah. All right. So then we have Holiday Road. This is on Hallmark Channel. And it's director Martin Wood and writers Gina Matthews and Grant Scarbo. And this has a large ensemble cast, including Sarah Canning, Warren Christie, and Princess Davis. And it's 9 strangers stranded in an airport during the holidays unite for a Christmas road trip to Denver. Misadventures lead to unexpected bonds and heartfelt conversations. This will be a little bit challenging to talk about because there are so many characters and so many things going on.
Yeah,
but overall, overall, what did you think about it?
I love this one. I thought it was really great. I mean, I'm sort of biased because I love Sarah Canning. So I don't know. I just liked all the dynamics that they had together. I thought there was a lot of emotions. They had some like diverse storylines and things that everyone was working through. And I just liked how everything interconnected. I don't know. Just left me with like that whole, like that Christmas movie feeling that I wanted at the end.
When it was starting and for like the first maybe 30 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm not liking this at all. Because I just thought these people are really annoying and I'm going to have to spend all this time. But I have to say, it won me over by the end. Like, because I guess part of my worry at the beginning was like, these are all just going to be a bunch of caricatures, especially Maya. I was like, oh no, she's going to be what every sort of Gen X person thinks about millennials, or influencers. So I was just cringing at first. But even she basically won me over by the end. I thought, for the amount of time that they have for these stories to have so many basically convincing arcs that they did was impressive. And I ended up actually really enjoying it. And I was worried at first.
Yeah, because you genuinely cared about each one of these 9 people. And I feel like that's really hard to do with such a large cast. Like usually you're kind of interested in like 2 or 3 of the stories.
Yeah.
Then the others are just like kind of in the background. But I felt like I was genuinely invested in all of them. Even like you said with Maya, who was kind of a hard sell in the beginning. She was a little like too much. But by the end, they ended that arc really well.
Yeah, at least I guess at the beginning she does ask permission to record. Like they could have made her even more obnoxious of that kind of person. But still, it's just like, oh no. Because the thing about like, in my experience with most influencers, you can't be an influencer unless you're like somewhat charming.
Right.
Why would people want to watch your content if you're not like personable and charismatic and relatable for the most part, unless you're a Kardashian or there's some other, like reason. But if you're just an authentic boots on the ground influencer, like this person would have been, there has to be something about you that, makes people smile or makes people laugh or, something like that. And so most of the influencers that I have met as a, YouTuber or whatever, they usually aren't the sort of obnoxious,
they're more genuine
that you see portrayed in these kinds of things. That's why when I first saw her, I was like, oh no, she's gonna be cringe. But that she actually was pretty good. And but that's usually what people get wrong, is that like, again, you have to have a pleasant kind of personality really to be successful. Why would people want to watch your videos?
Right.
If you're annoying.
Exactly.
And Or if like you're somebody that got started way early on, you know, somebody like a Logan Paul or something like that, then maybe it's a little different. But even people like them, I think, have had to kind of learn to be like, okay, we got to tone it down and be charismatic and nice and whatever. But then it kind of made me laugh, this whole opening scene between Warren Christie and Sarah Canning. Because we've said on this podcast many times that you can tell if somebody's a good person in a Hallmark movie by their coffee order. We know this. And this was like it's like somebody was listening to the podcast and worked it into the script because his order is taking too long. His order's taking too long. And the thing that was funny is like, if she just let him finish what he wanted in his coffee order, instead of having this long conversation, it would have taken way less time. Exactly. She's like, you're holding up the line. I mean, how long does it really take to say what he wants, like a double soy latte, you know, thing? And I've said this before, that like that you have two choices as a hot drinker. You can either order the whatever is, because they even said it in here, like just get the like gingerbread whatever one.
Yeah,
you can get the holiday,
the special one, the special.
Then you're fine. It doesn't even, and that can have like all kinds of, you know, ornamentation on it or whatever. You can get that, or you can get just plain black coffee or plain tea. If you come up like he did in this movie, if you come up and are like, I want a soy latte with like cinnamon and I don't know, whatever people get, I don't drink coffee. Then you are the worst. And she calls him out on that, and it was just really funny.
Yeah. It's called Chad. It's Clay.
Yeah.
It's Clay.
The Chattuccino.
The Chattuccino.
It was funny. It's like there's nothing wrong with getting what I want. And that made me laugh. And you know, and you think about You've Got Mail, and he says that Starbucks is not just a coffee place, but it's a defining sense of self. You you go up and you have your specific coffee order, and it allows you to make like 9 different decisions just to order a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So they have their kind of meet cute. They start off not liking each other. In fact, so they get the Sprinter band because everything's canceled, even though it's like bright and sunny. There isn't a cloud in the sky.
But everything's canceled and everything is gone except for this lovely Ford Transit.
Yeah, they get like a Sprinter van, like with like 12 people, you know, van, and so he's gonna leave her there. But the other in the group are like, come on, let's help her out. Let's go. And so, okay. And I would think that she would not want to sit in the front.
Yeah.
To start, if they weren't getting along, but nevertheless they do. And then we have this couple from Hong Kong that are there, and their son has been away, has been estranged, particularly from the dad. They haven't seen him in a couple of years, and there's this feud between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty well done. And it was, you know, a nice. It's a storyline that could have been kind of cringeworthy, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like I really liked how the reconciliation, obviously we're not there yet, but it was like over this box of some kind of treats or pastries or whatever, but it like had so much meaning of like home and family, and
yeah,
it was really nice.
Yeah, so there were these cookies, fortune cookies things.
Yeah, the fortune cookies.
There were the son's favorites, and so it kind of made them decide to reconcile, and it was a sweet moment. There was also a mother and son there, and the mom was having super anxiety attacks because they are going to meet they're going to meet her son's birth mother in Colorado.
Yeah.
And that's just causing her a lot of anxiety about, whether her son will, like this woman more than her, whether they'll, how it all work is
right.
Extremely
there's
stressful.
a lot of fears and insecurities that kind of go with that sort of moment. And she's definitely feeling it.
And I can understand that. I think anytime in life when there's just an unknown, it's hard. And even though, like, I think any sensible person would be like, why would the birth mother be even scheduling this if she wasn't, kind of up for it and it was going to be. And I have heard from people that met their birth family and it was a little underwhelming. Like it wasn't this like amazing experience that they thought it was going to be. Like it was good, but not like incredible. And so maybe there's some of that too. But I just think anxiety, it works as somebody who's had anxiety attacks in my life, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just it doesn't make sense most of the time. It's not
processing logical. All that and spitting it back out.
Yeah, that's right. So overall, I thought that was also pretty well done, pretty good between mother and son. And the son, he could have been just this like teenager who doesn't care, but he was pretty thoughtful and kind, which I appreciated. To his mother.
Yeah, and I like how they kind of like kept his story or like the reason behind the journeys like kind of secret for a little bit. Like I felt like that's one thing this movie also did well, is like there was still some prizes where you're like, that's
true.
So I thought that was nice too.
I also had to laugh that there are evidently twinkle lights in the van.
Well, you gotta be all decked up for Maya's lives and all that, her TikTok lives and Insta lives or whatever she's broadcasting.
So I say it that I forget who it was that told me that it used to be that every single frame had to have Christmas decor in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, without that, there wouldn't have been a lot of Christmas. You're in this van the whole time.
And so that made me laugh. I'm like, this is a committed rental agency. Car rental agency. They got twinkle lights
and stickers come off.
The twinkle lights in the van. But let's see what else. Then there was the old man who's basically kind of your Santa Claus type character. Yeah, and we see that he has a big pile of money. And he's going to visit his daughter. Is all of it, And maybe some people would be like, okay, this was too Hallmarky, but we find out the big reveal is that his daughter is dead. He's going to the cemetery and at the end, and that was definitely very sweet.
Yeah, and that was one twist I didn't see coming until they dropped him off, and I was like, there's nothing there, and I'm like, I bet he's going to the cemetery, and that's when it like hit me. So that one was definitely a twist I didn't see coming.
Yeah. And at one point his money is gone, and you knew, like, that's the kind of thing, like if in an early scene in a movie you see, let's say they show a gun on a table, that that especially if it's like completely out of context, why are they showing us this gun? That coming up, or not, whatever, that that okay, that is going to be important coming in later. And so you knew that when they had this random shot of the bag with his money, this huge wad of cash, that of course that was going to come into play later. And so of course his money is stolen. And there's this woman who is lost custody of her daughter because she's a singer and she's not seen as like reliable or whatever, which would be very unusual for I mean, most courts are mother friendly in custody, and just for being a singer, I would think that would be extremely unusual for someone to lose. You'd have to have other reasons for not being the primary caregiver. I almost never.
I mean, I guess I could kind of see if she didn't have like, if her jobs were like really far and few between and she wasn't having that steady income, I could maybe see that as like a reasoning. And like if the dad had like a super like stable office job or he was like the boss of something, I don't know, but
very, very, very rarely. I mean, she would have to have, I think, some kind of permanent home, which most performers do have some kind of residence, that's their home. But anyway, she was granted visitation. And this was, she was going out to see her daughter. And so she, it turns out, is the one that steals the money. And then, but she ends up giving it back and saying she's never done anything like that before. Because I mean, in that sense, this was very unusual because for a long time, I was told in the Hallmark movies that the heroine is never allowed to do anything illegal.
Yeah.
So they can't like kidnap someone, or they can't, even in like a farce, they can't like you couldn't have Holiday in Handcuffs, which is a horror movie in real life. But you couldn't have that on a Hallmark channel because what she's doing is illegal. And but in this case here, you have at least a heroine, maybe because it's an ensemble. They're a little who does something, steals from this. But of course he ends up giving her the money anyway. And it was sweet.
Yeah, I mean, they have that sort of connection of like he's lost his daughter, and she in a way has lost her daughter, and he's at a different point where he can kind of see like money isn't important, and in the end, it's the time that they had together, and so yeah.
The one thing that I think could have been a little better in this movie is that Maya would not be in this day and age with this group. Maya would not be the only one making social media content for like the teenager probably would be. And I think this singer probably would be. I mean, most have some kind of social media presence going on, and I mean, just almost everybody would probably be doing some kind of social media these days. It wouldn't just be the one. Yeah, we get where the son is feeling like, oh, it's a bad idea to meet his birth mom. And we get this whole thing from Maya. She says, do you want to be helped, hugged, or heard? What did you think about that?
That feels like a very, like, I could almost see that being a thing like right now, like in today's like society. Like, I feel like that's a very, I don't know, it just like made sense, like.
Yeah, it did feel very memey. Like, you could see that, it's becoming a meme. Do you want to be helped, hugged, or heard?
Yeah.
But I felt like it was sweet. I enjoyed that. Like, that's, I was like, I would like to be asked that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, do you just need someone to like hug you and just be there for you, but like not say anything? Do you want someone to like try to fix it, or you just want someone to listen? I think those are three very good options. Of like what you could want, and that's also them giving you the choice, not them just being like, okay, like here's you can try to fix it this way or whatever, but you didn't really want advice, you just wanted someone to listen or just someone to hold you. So that's also really nice.
What did you think about the relationship between Warren Christie and Sarah Canning? Do you think that was like believable or well done?
I thought it was. I mean, I really liked them together and honestly, for like with it being, an ensemble cast, and so they have like very limited interactions compared to like a normal movie, I thought it really worked for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was cute, kind of enemies to lovers, I guess, kind of story.
Yeah,
and she's like this extreme person. She's going to like jump out planes and going to all this stuff, And he says, do you have the courage to jump blindly into love? And so that was fun. And he's like, do you think, he says, be careful out there. And he says, what's the fun in that? That's a good line too.
I
have a feeling I'd like to talk to the writer on this, because I have a feeling this was a struggle. I bet this was hard to write, this movie, because there's so many characters, so much going on. I think it was tough.
It was inspired by true events, so I'd be interested in how much of this was based on fact and what was fiction. So I would be really interested to hear the backstory as well.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just looking up these writers. Grant Scarborough. Interesting is that he did this holiday show that they filmed last year that's never aired. So that's interesting. Oh, I'm so curious about that. Where did it go? This is his first Hallmark movie.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a couple other TV series and things on his, but none of them are ones I recognize except for holidays. And let's see the other writer, Gina Matthews. Let's see here. What has she done? This looks like she only has 4 writing credits, and the other 3 were episodes of series. So, so this is her first Hallmark movie too. So way to go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have to talk, maybe I'll have to see if they want to do an interview, because I would really be curious, because I bet it was a challenge writing this movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of stories to interweave and make them all good.
Yes. So then at the end we have Warren Christie. I want to jump with you. I want to take the jump with you. It was fun. That was fun.
And I thought it was really cute when he thought he got it wrong again, because she was kind of shocked for a moment, and she her face was kind of blank, and he was so worried, oh my gosh, I misinterpreted this again.
Yeah, and you gotta give Warren Christie credit, man. He's good at picking these projects. He really only has, out of all the Hallmark movies that he's done, he really has one stinker in that Candace Cameron Bure one, but that was not his fault.
I like that one. I think I might have been the only person.
That was terrible. But yeah, he has a very good track record of these movies. So way to go. Good job, Warren.
Yeah.
And then the ending scene is the whole troop is then at Maya's, which was a nice way to end.
Turned out her parents were stuck and she was going to be all alone, and kind of reinforce that thing of we have social media that connects us, but in the end she was all alone.
Yeah. And so the family that you create is sometimes just as powerful as the family that you're born into. I think about that a lot, that we just in this little Hallmarkies bubble that we had, and most of us you and I have never met. No. Most of us have never met, and yet we've managed to have these very special relationships that we developed. We have a little Hallmarkies family, and I don't know, it's amazing I think we take it for granted. But I guess if anything, the pandemic taught us is how important those lifelines really are.
Yes,
for all of us.
For sure.
Yeah. So like I said, I was like, oh no, going the first 30 minutes, I was not feeling it, but it really did turn it around. So you never know about a film. You want to keep positive. But I'd probably give this one a 4. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I did too. Obviously, I gave it a 4.9. I mean, this one hit a lot of things for me. Also, we didn't talk about those elf games. I want to do that. I need to do those elf games. That is got me written all over it. That looked like so much fun.
That was fun.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, it was fun, and I really just like the kind of overarching themes of really being present for each other, for other people, and just making, like you said, the family that you make can be just as important.
Well, and that even things that might seem superficial, like an Instagram interaction or whatever, that to remember that there's a human being on the other side of that, that side, and that we can make a difference in each other's lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there we go. That is Holiday Road. So let us know if you're listening what you think of these two movies. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Jess, where can people follow you?
You can find me on Instagram at JessBSWblog.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We just got a 5-star review this week and it made my day. So please do that. And then we also have also, if you are watching YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. It helps the algorithm a lot. And then also check out the Patreon group. This week we have director Lee Friedlander coming. We're going to watch Royal Queen's Christmas, and we're going to get all the behind the scenes details. So if you love these movies and you want to hear the behind the scenes, then that's just one of the many benefits of being a patron. And then we also have the merch store. We have tons of fun designs. I kind of had a Barbie inspiration with this year's designs. So I had a lot of fun with it with Jessica, our artist. And so take a look at that. There's some Black Friday deals going on and other stuff. And that helps us out. And thanks so much, everybody. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.